Welcome. My name is Danny Ross, and I'm excited to see everybody for the relaunch of the AI Lunch and Learn. So we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. As you can see, I've changed it from a webinar format to a meeting format. We had grown to about 30, 40 people, and one of the things that I got feedback on was, hey, it'd be great if we can interact a little bit more. And so I decided to go ahead and change that. Is there anyone who has never been to an AI Lunch and Learn session? I see some familiar names, but if you have never been to an AI Lunch and Learn, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat, please. I see familiar names. I think everybody has been on before. I'm doing this also as what we call a soft launch. If you were ever in the restaurant business, you know what that means. It means for the first week, you just kind of let things be a little more mellow. And we also are allowing a little flexibility while we work out some of the kinks. But as all of you know, I've been doing this for a long time. By way of introduction, my company is called Digital Express AI. I think most of you have probably joined from ABC and then the email that I sent out earlier today. As again, soft launch, tested it to a very small group of previous attendees, and I just wanted to make sure all the formatting was correct. We also have some interesting different approaches for this week. Let me go ahead and load up a couple of files into the chat for you. I'm also going to start doing these through Google Drive if the files are too large, but let's see if this works for this week. We're going to grab a couple of files here from AI Lunch and Learn, and we'll drop them up. I'm going to have both a beginner file and a more advanced workbook. And so this way you have a workbook now. Don't get distracted by the workbook yet, but I just want to make sure that they were loading up in there perfectly okay, because they're pretty small. They're just a little bit of text. And so that looks like that worked perfectly. I'm going to do different things on our weekly sessions. They're going to have a beginner breakout room and a advanced breakout room, because one of the things that I saw in the previous weeks was that we had attendees who were at different stages. By having a different breakout room, this would allow people to kind of go at their own pace, but still get, as much as possible out of the hour. Those are some of the other things that we're changing. If you want to share where you're from and what you're doing, please go ahead and drop that into the chat. If you have a URL of your business, please go ahead and drop that into the chat. I'm very interested in, who we have. So as far as the sessions, we're going to be moving forward on a weekly basis. As I said, I believe most of you I see here, the two of you I see here on the chat. Hey, welcome, Catrice. Welcome, Kenya. Thank you. Gerald looks like he had to jump. So, realtor, are you a realtor or a realtist? I'm kind of curious if you're part of Empire. I have an affiliation with the Empire Board of Realtists. I am the technology chair. And so we're building out a whole new Empire Board of Realtists website. We're building out a whole new membership. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll invite you to that. We are having, by the way, a in-person training session for beginners in AI, which everyone can attend. It is coming up near the end of the month on the 28th. So if you happen to be available, I'll be teaching that as well. Okay, so let's do this. Let me also take another poll for you to kind of guide along the lines of, are you brand new to AI and know very little? Drop a 1 in the chat. Or if you are feeling that you're more experienced, go ahead and drop a 2 in the chat, please. That kind of will help me understand where you guys are. All right, Patrice, I got yours. Kenya, in the middle, beginner, more advanced. Where do you feel you kind of fall in? All right, so we have 1 of each. All right, this is good. And this is what I wanted to kind of test in this week's format, because I want to see where everyone is. And as we do these, I may expand to, right now I have it slotted for 90 minutes, but I know I have promised the first an hour. So here's what we'll do. I'll kind of jump in between the two presentations I have, and then we can do a breakout room for beginner and advanced so that everyone gets something meaningful out of these sessions. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. AI Lunch and Learn, we're really talking about in today's world, right? I've been teaching AI for quite a while, and for different people, everybody's at slightly different place in AI these days. We can actually get into what AI is, how business users are using it, that type of thing. I'm going to do a little bit of a refresher since this is our relaunch week, and then I'm going to separate out into the two breakout rooms, and then that way we can kind of cover both sides of the content. So some of the core technology that I teach, we talk about the create method. It is very important to being able to communicate with AI clearly, and it doesn't matter which AI that you use. And it's one of the things that we're changing in our AI Lunch and Learn. We're going to spend time using any platform or LLM that you guys are familiar with, and you can use your favorite. There are simple ones like, of course, ChatGPT, which is the OG. There's Claude, there's Gemini, and the list goes on. And another announcement, one of the reasons for the break in the AI Launch and Learn, I did go ahead and join Tesla as what they call a Tesla advisor. It's still a sales role. And so I've kind of gone back into some of the corporate world as a sales guy. You never have to ask anyone if they own a Tesla. If you're within about 10 minutes of the conversation, they'll tell you about their technology in their car. People who own Teslas are very vocal about it. I've had a Tesla for about 5 years now, and it's a fun vehicle. There's two companies I like. One is Apple's technology, and the other one is Tesla's technology. So I basically have joined the Tesla team. I have to update my LinkedIn. I haven't even done that yet. It was a fun decision, and so far it's been a lot of fun. One of the reasons I mentioned that is that's kind of influenced why I had to change it from Tuesday to Wednesday for AI Lunch and Learn. All right, AI is changing business fast. I think no one will argue that point in where we are right now. One of the things we can do, and I'm actually going to open up the microphones, so anyone who would like to speak can ask questions since it's just a few of us right here. I'm going to make both of you co-hosts. And I'm going to confirm that. Again, lots of changes this week. I'm really having fun with this since it's such a small group of us. If you ever want to interrupt me and jump on, again, this is a new format. I'm going to allow it this week, probably not every week as our numbers grow, because you know how chaotic it can get. But if you have something specific you'd like me to show and discuss, I'm open to it as I do this soft launch. So welcome. Hey, Catrice, you can say hello, and same thing for you, Kenya, please, if you don't mind. You don't have to get on camera or anything. Just if you want to say hello.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? This is Kenya from Georgia.
Let me check my audio. There we go. I fixed it now. So, Catrice, go ahead and say hello again.
Yeah. Hey, Danny, how's it going?
Perfect. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi,
Okay,
Kenya.
yeah, so hello, everybody. I'm excited about the new format. As I said, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to do some breakout rooms for beginners and advanced. If there's anything you two would like to see this week, as we're just breaking out all of the bugs, please go ahead and let me know. The other thing, too, is when we talk about LLMs, large language models, and these again, the names include Claude, Gemini. I'm going to give you guys this deck, a link to this deck after we finish. So don't worry about anything I kind of gloss over. I'll give you the link to the deck as well. Again, another change that we're doing as we kind of go through this. One of the things that I get asked sometimes is, does it matter? Is there a favorite? Is there a best AI? No, there isn't. It's truly subjective. Almost all of them have a free version that you can go ahead and test. And then after you decide, hey, I'm actually going to use this on a weekly basis or a daily basis, then you can pay. Most of them are $20 to jump to the next level. There are so many versions of them these days, but I'm happy to talk about the ones that I use. My OG and one I go to the most is ChatGPT, but I have played with pretty much all of them, including Perplexity and the other ones. I refuse to get Grok. I don't like that particular AI for just personal reasons. But funny enough, I ended up working for Tesla, and that is the AI of choice, because that's Elon's AI. And so far, it's been pretty good. It's kind of like, yeah, you learn things as you go along. I use it in the car conversationally. It's kind of interesting to play with all the different LLMs. You kind of figure out which one you like the content that it produces. Claude is known for being a great writer and coding right now. It's very popular for coders. Perplexity is fantastic for research and development. I have had a lot of comments and teachers that like that particular tool for that reason. It was the OG when it came to always giving a source so that you never had to guess if it was accurate information. Now, with ChatGPT and the others, these days you can specifically say, hey, give me the sources for all of these. And almost all of them have what's called a deep research mode, which means they can get very detailed and give you all of the information of where they're pulling the data the information that they're giving you so that you have some confidence. But as a human in the loop, as we call it, it is still ultimately up to you to review anything that you produce using AI and then check it out before you actually show it to the public. Definitely before you put it on your website or use it in publications and things like that. You should absolutely always go back and check that it's accurate. It's so funny because the reason why I'm saying that is in a slide or two here, I saw a typo and I was like, this is a perfect example of why you should review your decks before you actually put it out there. When we talk about communicating with AI, and for the beginner part of this conversation and training, we'll talk about simple prompts and why you have to be very specific. In other words, the initial prompt here, write me a post, is really not a very good prompt. Whereas this one on the right here really gets a little bit more specific. It's still not great, but it's better. And then, so let me go to what we call the CreateX method. This is a methodology that we developed starting in 2021. I was part of a group called 1000X. I still am in a way. And we created this methodology for communicating with AI, making sure that your prompt covers all of these aspects. For Patrice, this may be a little bit of a refresher, but for you, Kenya, I'll kind of slow down and give you a little bit on this, because this part is important. So first thing you want to do is set the context, which is essentially telling the AI who you want to invite into the conversation. So you could say something like you are a realtist, or you are an accountant, or you are Steve Jobs, and so I want you to help me with technology, or you are Warren Buffett. I want you to act as advisor for picking the latest stocks and things like that. So you can set that context. Okay, let's see. Should you be seeing something on the screen?
Yeah, it's just saying playing picture in picture. So I'm thinking you're screen sharing.
No, actually, I can see your screen.
Yeah, so what you need to do is look around and see if you have more than one Zoom screen. Usually that just means you're looking at maybe the second or third Zoom screen.
Understood. Thank you.
Take a look. Let me know if you find it. You should be seeing a preso or presentation with the CreateX method. Just look around for some more tabs. Let me know when you find it.
That's weird.
You still don't see it?
Yeah, and I checked it, see if I had any other open tabs.
Did you find actual Zoom? Take a look at your Zoom, and in the Zoom window on the top, I think it's on the top right, you should be able to select what you're looking at. It should be in the Zoom window itself.
Okay, keep looking. I don't want to hold up other folks' times.
Yeah, just take a look and see if you see it. It should be usually it's on the top right.
And Kenya, if you don't see it on the top right, like I'm looking at mine in the Zoom window, I've got Zoom Workplace, and then there's a little circle with an I in it, a down arrow, and then it's got meeting, and then right beside meeting, it's got Danny Ross's screen.
Yeah, I don't see any of those options, and under view.
It won't be on the bottom. It'll be
at the top.
Yes, I'm at the top.
Do you see my name? Click the three dots next to my name. Sometimes you can find it there.
Only time I see your name pop up is when you're talking.
Right.
Other than that, I don't see anywhere to click your name. Let me see.
You might also want to jump off and jump back on.
All right, I'm
Sometimes
gonna
that'll
try that real
simplify
quick.
that. All
I'm gonna
right.
try that.
I'll keep going. But all right, it's just you and me, Patrice. What questions do you have regarding AI that I can jump to while we are?
While we wait for him to come back,
Yeah.
I need to set up an agent, Danny, and
hmm
well, I have two questions.
hmm
I need to set up an agent, so I need to get granular on how to do that. And I
hmm
know it's not challenging or anything. I just haven't done it. But then my other thing is I'm currently paying for ChatGPT and I like it. I'm
hmm
just trying to decide, should I start paying for Claude or no? Because I've
Well,
been able to do pretty much a lot of things in
hmm
Claude for
hmm
free. But, now they've got this whole credits thing going and
yeah.
a little
So
aggravating.
again, you pick the one that you like the best, and then you decide if you're going to pay for it. If you've settled in on Claude, there's always advantages with any of these models, especially like things like credits and how much you can use it.
Mm.
And that's the reason why I pay for, and it's so funny, I pay $20 a month, even as a heavy user. I've gone up to the $200 pro version. And I
Hmm.
came back down because I didn't need the pro version. I don't have
Ah,
a team of people that I need to have in there. $20 a month will usually get you what you need and want. And as far as I was saying, which one is better, everybody kind of sees differences that they like. Now, both Claude and ChatGPT has a version that you can install on your.
desktop.
I've done both. I've seen results from both.
I did download Claude to my desktop and
hmm
I like it, but I don't and it to my Windows
hmm
PC. I
hmm
haven't I wasn't able to download it to my Mac because it said Mac I needed to have a different or an updated operating system and I couldn't do it. Not doing that right
Okay.
now.
I gotcha. Hold on, Kenya's coming back in. Let me let.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. I'm going to make you co-host again so you can speak. So, welcome back.
Thank you, and I can see your screen.
Yeah,
There
it
you go.
sounds like when you became co-host, you might have wandered off the main connection, but yep, there you go. You're back. We were just discussing agents and which versions of LLMs are better for agents. I will actually make that a question. See, one of the things I like to teach is whenever you have a specific thought and process that you're trying to drill down into, you can create that conversation with your favorite LLM. Mine happens to be ChatGPT, and we were just discussing which ones that you should pay for or not pay for. Catrice likes Claude. As I mentioned, I like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is my buddy. So we are reviewing agents. By the way, Catrice, what do you want your agent to do? That's an important question.
Kind of be a VA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. And are you going to use it on your desktop?
No, for now I'm just going to use it in the web version.
Okay. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, and then I was another loan officer in a group I'm in did
Mm-hmm.
their own GPT, and so
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to be cute and go
Mm-hmm.
look behind the screen and see how they set the GPT up, but
Right, 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 right,
like,
right.
another story for another day, apparently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How do I get this started? Literally, I like to ask these types of questions, and then you can refine from there. By the way, that's a horrible prompt if you're starting from scratch, but this particular is in Claude, excuse me, in ChatGPT. What I'm using right now is called a project. And so Claude has the same thing. And what that means is you don't have to spend a lot of time explaining who you are or what you are trying to do. You can build upon previous memories in the thread. Just be aware that you can train your AI of choice to understand who you are, what you're doing, that kind of thing. You don't have to always be as specific as I was about to teach you in CreateX. We're going to go right back to that in just a second, but let's answer Catrice's. You're going to see a little bit more advanced. If this is beyond you, just blank us out, okay? We're just trying to do something a little bit more here. All right, the easiest way to create an agentic VA in ChatGPT or Claude, understand the goal, ask clarifying questions only when needed, break the prompt. Okay, cool. And this is the important part right here. It's a reusable assistant. It's going to learn about you, and then as you start working with it, it'll basically be able to anticipate what you want to do. If you install Claude on your desktop, then it will be able to also perform tasks as you give it permissions. So these are some of the popular types of VAs, right? Email assistants, research assistants, content creation, meeting VA. In other words, it's basically like the assistant that's in Zoom right now that's recording us, and then it'll create a summary of the meeting. And then an admin VA, which you can train it on your your standard operating procedures, your schedules, your tasks list, and so on. Business growth agentic VA. So this is a browser-based assistant. It'll do all of the things that we just discussed. And then you want to create a workspace for it. In ChatGPT, you would create a project first, then you would create a custom GPT, and then you'd create a workspace agent. It's kind of walking through. I like how it's giving us step by step. It's actually pretty straightforward. I've done projects and things like that before. And then in Claude, it's also called projects. That's what I couldn't remember. So that's good. And it gives you the exact steps here. And then here is what we will do after you create your project. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to tell it, hey, you're an agentic virtual assistant for business growth and marketing. And you're going to lay out what its goals are and its primary objectives and responsibilities. What you want to have it do is initially, if you've never trained up a project, you're going to want to start with that first. And I'll give you a prompt in just a second that'll help with that. And then once it learns about you and your business and your personal, whatever you want to share with it, then it'll get better and better as you do it. So again, what's your preferred style? What's your default workflow? This is important. And we teach a class regarding responsible AI and ethical AI. And so it depends on your level of paranoia when it comes to AI. So you can have it be restricted almost in what it's allowed to do. In other words, it's almost the opposite of agentic. What I'm getting at is you can tell it it's allowed to do this, it's allowed to do this, but never allowed to do that or that. And you can be very, very granular with those rules. And so it's kind of like the next thing that they're talking about here. This is important based on your personality and how I have a teaching partner. He is on the scale of paranoia, at least an 11, and it's because he used to work for the various security organizations, and he knows quite a bit about that. And so his level of paranoia is very high. I am somewhere in the middle. I'm somewhat of a moderate. I've also worked in the security space, and I teach all of the time about security and software and, your personal data and things like that. And then there's people who are like, hey, sure, come on in, AI, do everything for me. But you can kind of figure out where you are, and then you set those into your operating rules of what it's allowed to do and things like that. So, for example, are you going to give it complete access to your email so it can basically be like Gemini if you're using Google or Microsoft's AI? And so Apple is coming out with theirs in a little while. I'm definitely leaning more towards the AI in Apple as Siri becomes more capable. And the reason why is just the Apple philosophy on security and how they're going to handle the AI. So, for example, if you're having the AI do something for you on your computer, whatever it's doing is only going to stay on your computer. And even if it has to go to the cloud to ask a question or get the latest data from the internet, it'll be under Apple's secure servers. Whereas Gemini, Grok, and some of the other ones are a little bit more liberal about data privacy. So again, you can pick your favorite AI. Claude is also, by the way, pretty good at privacy. It's kind of built into their philosophy. As I said, it's about how much access you're going to give these AIs to your information. What are you worried about it sharing with the world? Things like that. Is it allowed to use in your data to train on things like that? So those are some of the more healthy paranoia questions that you should at least be aware of. And in all of the AI tools that are out there, there is a way to control that very simply. So this is more for the beginner part of it. You can go into settings, and in settings, you have the ability to control what security and what data, and even parental if you're letting younger people use it. But in the security and the data controls, you can determine how much is the AI allowed to train on your information and how much is it allowed to ever use or share. So those are where you can go in and do that. So as a beginner, you should definitely at least review those. And what's funny about it, if you don't know what those settings are, just ask the AI. It'll be happy to tell you about its own settings. When in doubt, just ask the AI. And then this is the next part here, and I'm going to share this thread with you, by the way. So before starting any task, classify it as a quick task, research task, and so on. So then complete the task. So the next is creating a menu so that you, again, you can put in like 10 commands that you're going to use all of the time. And then for each command, I can give it a name, what I type, and what to be able to do. So start with the workflow. So use this as your first test. Act as my Agentic VA, content creation task, help me promote my next AI launch and learn. So obviously it's talking to me because I'm in the Digital Express project. It knows I'm in my Digital Express project. So everything in here is related to things that we were just working on. So that's why it brought that up as a possible next topic, right? 5 email subject lines, 1 short invite email, 1 LinkedIn post, 1. I'm telling it what I want it to create for me. And then the tone, practical, confident. So it's setting up a good prompt, and then add your business context. So you can put these in there and get all the information. And then these are the secondary, daily commands. So you can actually set up tasks that run every day, every week. So that's another good recommendation. I like this thread. It's pretty good. So, all right, I'm going to share this thread with both of you. And again, this might be a little advanced, but at least, Catrice, you can definitely grab this and run with it. All righty. So that was an advanced topic. We're going to go back to a little bit of the beginner topic, and then we'll swing back around again. And by the way, one of the things that I mentioned about sources before, so now in every prompt that I get, it always gives me my sources in ChatGPT. So that's, again, so you can go back and actually review these by just clicking on here, see where it got this information from. I will tell you that even with its familiarity with me, and I use it for research all of the time. Like, I have a whole thread called Q&A, and in the Q&A thread, I'm always asking you questions. It never fails to amaze me. Like, I was setting up something with Zoom the other day, and I asked it, how do I do this in Zoom? And it gave me a complete answer very confidently. And then I'm like, okay, first of all, that does not exist on my screen, and you give it a screenshot. So whenever you're having an argument with AI, it's always good to give it a picture that it can see of what it is that you're pointing out. So it was telling me to click this option and do this and do that in the step-by-step instructions. And I was like, well, first of all, that doesn't exist on my screen. And then it goes, oh, sorry. Yes, it appears Zoom has updated that screen. I'm saying all of that to say, even when it gives you nice instructions like this and step-by-step, just be aware it could be literally wrong or outdated, meaning that, Zoom updates its own options and settings screen on a regular basis. And if the AI is not actually paying attention to that particular screen, which of course it would be impossible, it may give you wrong information. Don't get frustrated. Just give it a screenshot and say, excuse me, you're wrong. Here is more accurate information. And so give me new step-by-step instructions, and then it'll say something like, oh, apparently they moved that option to this other screen, and then you go there, and of course then it's there. I say all of that to say, when you're setting up this workflow here, just be aware if something doesn't work, just go back to the AI and say, hey, you told me this would work and it's not working. Okay, so let's go back to prompting, because This is important for everybody. Context. We were talking about setting up the context. Role. What do you want the AI to actually do for you? So you can be very specific. I want you to help me create an email to invite people to my AI Lunch and Learn. And so again, give it some parameters, especially if you've given it the history about yourself. And I'm going to show you a technique we call the interview method. And this applies to everybody. Again, beginner, advanced. You should definitely do this at least once. And then role examples. And so it's really good to always give it examples of specifically what you want to do. The most popular or easiest way to do that is a screenshot. Say, hey, this is something that I would like you to emulate. For example, if you're creating a new website or you're creating invitation, so you can give it an example of a previous email invitation that you did, and so that it can see that and then build off of that. So for example, when I did the AI Lunch and Learn relaunch, I effectively gave it already knew the previous ones, but then I gave it an example. I want you to rewrite this for the relaunch. And these AIs are getting so good these days. If you give it even the simplest example, they can definitely expand and expound on that. State your need very clearly, specifically. Tell it exactly what it is that you want as the outcome. Okay. I need 5 example emails. Actually, give me 10 example emails. Give me 5 emails that are in the box and 5 emails that are out of the box, crazily creative, so that you get a little variety. And then you can kind of do some A/B testing, as they call it in marketing, where you're comparing standard content to maybe a little crazier content that might grab the attention. This is really effective when you have a website page and you're scrolling down the page. You can alternate between in the box content and out of the box content to grab the attention of people that are coming to your website. So you can deal with different personalities of people in your target audience. Tone is important in the sense that you can say, I want this to be humorous. I want this to be serious. It should always be within the parameters of language. I like to use 5th graders. Give me the content that a 5th grader can understand. And the reason for that is most 5th graders are smarter than me. And so, because they're actually in school learning new concepts and things. But if you keep that tone at a level that they can understand, then that way it is also understandable by a large population, right? So you never want to be talking over the heads of your audience on your website and in your email content and things, your communications, and posting on websites, right? So you want to keep it as simple as possible as long as everything is going across. And then the tone, like I said, you can be humorous. You can tell it to be humorous, like in the style of Kevin Hart. Or I use a personality called Gillian Perkins. She's a YouTuber that does a really good job of explaining things. You could do it in the style of old style marketing if you want it to be more aggressive. So you can play around with that tone. And then same thing is after it gives you that first result, you want to go back over it again. Say, okay, that's pretty good, but let's change this. Is the human in the loop? You take a look at it and then you say, okay, that's close, but I want you to change it to this or change it to that. And then you can have it execute by doing a certain particular action. And this is kind of where we're getting into some of this agentic things that we're talking about right now. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to keep giving you this outline so you kind of see some of these examples. And this is what I was talking about by the role. You can say act as a marketing strategist or act as an experienced sales coach. So you can tell it who you want it to be. And then, like I said, give it examples. What exactly do you want it to do? Write a 3-sentence homepage headline, right? And the same thing with the tone, the evaluate and re-execute, go back over it over and over again. And then you can even have the AI check its own work. And this is where it gets interesting because especially if you're using Claude and you're writing a book or whatever, you can really have it be a specific type of editor. You can say, I want you to review these chapters and give me critical feedback, both positive and negative. It's important to tell the AI to be negative sometimes because AI is always trying to please you. It's always going to give you happy responses unless you tell it specifically, no, 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 I want you to actually tell me what's wrong with this. And if necessary, hurt my feelings, but at least be critical of the output. Don't tell me everything is great. AI will tell you everything is great all the way to the end of the wall, all right? But you definitely always want to have it be realistically critical when you're doing it. So I'm going to share this deck with you guys. And then here's a prompt that is very simple. Act as a marketing strategist helping a local cleaning company, and it could be your business, replace it there, to attract busy homeowners in Atlanta, Georgia. Create a compelling homepage headline, Facebook. You're telling me exactly what you want. Here's the tone I want, and make it feel local. All right. So these are all things that you can do. And then after AI response, follow it. Now make the headline more emotional and urgent, right? I usually tell it, that's pretty good. Now give me 5 more headlines that are even more compelling in the style of Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy is an old school marketing guy who he was too aggressive for today's marketing. But I like to combine Dan Kennedy and Gillian Perkins. So what do I get? I get a little bit of aggression from the Dan Kennedy personality, and then I get a little bit more toned down, modern YouTuber style friendliness. And then when I mash them together, I get a pretty good tone. And I've trained in my project that when it creates marketing content for me to pretty much always crash those two together. And so that's how I get the type of marketing content that fits my personality. So that's the type of thing you can train it on. All right, so let me give you a practical prompt for where to start with AI. So the first thing you want to do, whether you're in Claude, ChatGPT, doesn't matter. You want to teach the AI about yourself and about your business. So you can create a prompt, and I'll drop the prompt in the chat for you guys. And if you've been on my training, you've seen this prompt before. I'm going to drop it right here so you guys can all have it. And so this is called the interview prompt, and it is a typical prompt that I like to use to begin. And I do this for my customers. I do this for myself on maybe a quarterly basis, but it starts off with you're an experienced journalist skilled at uncovering authentic personal and brand voices. Interview me, a prospective online brand. But what I am asking it to do is ask me questions. And then the most important part of the prompt is to have it ask you questions one at a time. This prompt is deep. It has a lot of different pieces to it, but it definitely gets us to the point where now we're going to end up training this AI in my business and my personality. And so the first question it asks me is, when somebody discovers your brand for the first time, what do you want them to feel within the first 60 seconds? And why does this matter to you personally? So again, deep question. Take your time in answering these questions. Go through them, spend an hour. Why is this important? Number one, it trains your AI in you and your brand, your voice, so that when you create content in the future, the AI is really familiar with your style. So you're training the AI. The second thing it does, it helps you actually understand what your goals are. A lot of us are in business and we're in the day-to-day trenches and we're crushing it, but we could be doing even better. And if you want AI to really be your VA and your partner, do this before you do that whole project setup thing that we just talked about. Create the project and then do the interview prompt first before you start asking it to help you with things. Because if you do the interview prompt, it'll understand pretty much everything about your business. And if you take this interview prompt and you run it for about an hour, you really will have a really, really good and well-prepared AI agent that you can then go ahead and make use of without more training. You'll be amazed at the difference in the content that it will give you. I'll pause here, see if either you, Catrice, or Ken, you have any questions.
Oh, I'm tracking right now. You're good.
Yeah, I'm all good.
Okay, good. All right. So the interview prompt will get you the best output. And it doesn't matter what your business is, it's highly effective. And I've been using it for years. After you do that, then you can run this prompt. And the reason why is now it knows about your business. So when it creates this compelling homepage headline, it's informed. Same thing with the Facebook post, same thing with the email. You don't have to go and you don't have to explain about yourself. So that's why the interview prompt should be done first before you do anything else. And again, AI still relies on the human, right? What it does allow you to do, as Patrice is about to experiment with, is become that superhuman, all right? Because now you are taking your expertise, your strategies, your personality, and combining it with AI. You become a really, really highly effective individual because you literally can know everything within a prompt with just a prompt. So, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, you can be that expert. And I used to work for Microsoft 3 or 4 years ago. And my nickname there was Danny Digital. And it was because I pretty much could answer any question that anybody had in my area of specialty. And I used the technology around me to not only educate myself, but to help coworkers build a business, grow revenues, and be effective. And that's what I like about AI is it can make you that AI superhuman. Okay. So it's really effective. But again, let the AI interview you first. As you do this, it will identify all of these things for you. And then from there, you can build out the things that you need in business. Your elevator pitch, can you tell anybody what you do and why it's important to them? Not why it's important in general, but why it's important to them in a 30-second description on an elevator ride. Every business owner should have this. It doesn't matter if you're in realty or any other business that you're in, you should be able to do this. What makes you unique? What makes your business unique? What do you do differently from the thousands of other realtors that are out there? And in your brokerage business, what do you do differently that makes doing business with you more of a benefit to that user? And then in the next couple of weeks, we're going to work on all of these different areas as we kind of drill down into effective communication using AI for all of these different tasks. So we're going to walk through all of these as we go along. Search, this is something that I teach all of the time, why it's important that AI can find your business. I give examples almost all of the time of customers that I'm working with. Let me see if I can bring up one right now quickly. Am I logged in? Yes, I am. AI. Let's see. Pick one. Pick a customer that I'm working on. They've gotten 124 visitors. 91 of them has used AI to find a website. What's impressive about this is we've done no marketing yet. It's just how well the site is designed, how well there used to be a context called SEO, search engine optimization. When you went to Google and you search for a business or a type of business, what's the best pizza place near me or whatever. That used to be keyword based, and that was how that search engine would find you. Well, obviously, in the world we live in today, everything is AI. I don't use Google anymore to search for things. I use Siri if I'm on my phone. I use Chat GPT to find whatever it is I'm looking for. What's the best AirPod version for my sister who's not a techie person? Any kind of Q&A question like that. And then AI will point you to a website that does the best job of answering your specific question. And so there's a new term called AEO or AI engine optimization or answer engine optimization. And it just means that AI is answering those questions and pointing people to websites. And is your website the one that it points it to? How do you convince the AI that you are an authority on that subject? It's no longer about just keywords. It's now about answerable information and data on your website in the meta, not only the keywords, but also every metadata, everything that's on your website. Is it friendly to AI? And so that's one of the bigger upgrades you have to do. If any of you need help with that, we are available and we do this every day. And so you want to be able to be found by AI. Basically, if I go out to the site, Everything on the site is designed, let's go to view the site. Everything on the site is designed to be attractive to humans, sure, but it also has to be attractive to the AI. And the way that you do that is the content. AI doesn't look at pictures, by the way. It only looks at the content that's on here. And every section in here has to be both friendly to humans because we are the people looking at it, but it has to have underlying data. All of this stuff at the top is pretty much only for the humans. But then when you get further down into the page, you have what's called FAQs. The FAQs have to be AI friendly in their answers. The underlying H1, H2, H3 tags that are in here have to be friendly to AI. The imagery is nice, but what's more important to the AI is each photo has to be accessible and have the tags associated with each image. So it's teaching something. And then as it goes through your website to all of your different pages, it has to have that balance of pretty, but also lots of text that answers questions. And so as you do this and you build it out, there's 2 or 3 files that you can input into to place into your website as well that are never seen by humans. And those are the LLM files, and those are also important. Again, I show all of that to just kind of discuss the concept of being able to be found by your website. Clarity is very important, and these are all things that you need to do. Again, get with us if you have questions. Let me give you some links. I have so many links. Let's knock out a few of these. I'll put these in here in the chat. My calendar link is in there if you want to jump on us. Some of my favorite fun toys, including Gamma's in here. So this is Gamma. I use it all of the time now. I used to be a PowerPoint guy, but now I use Gamma because it's so much easier. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to do some classes on Gamma if you guys have not played with it. Yeah, this is one of the typos that I saw when I was doing this deck, but I didn't fix them because I wanted to kind of point it out. And it's so funny because I said to the AI in Gamma that, can you remove the strike through from the page? It said back to me, and I'm serious, it said, there is no strike through text on your page. And I went, really? Again, you can spend an hour arguing with AI, but I just left it alone for now because I wanted to show you a real world example of how, no matter how great the AI is, sometimes it can be stubborn and give you a hard time. I mean, literally, it said to me, there is no strike through information on this page. Where small business wins with AI: marketing, sales, operations, customer experience. These are the things you can have this 24-hour, 7 days a week employee. You can hire 2,000 agents like Catrice is going to go build to help you with your business on an everyday basis. So it really is a fantastic world that we live in today. So here's some homework. And again, I'm going to share this prompt, this whole slide deck with you guys. But these are important questions as you build out your business. What problems do I solve? Rewrite my homepage headline. I have a prompt that I'm going to go through next week that is specifically about redoing and rebranding your website to make it even more effective. And I'm going to use my own website as an example on that for next week. And the reason why this is important is you should refresh your website content every 3 months or so. Great for searchability, both in Google and in the AI LLMs. Refreshed content, you should do that all of the time, but as a minimum, at least every quarter to make sure that you are consistently showing up of having new content. There are certain things, even old school things like blog posts that can help you with being found. Obviously today, the most effective way to always have new content is to be active on social media. So as you post things and drive people back to your website, that keeps your authority up in any particular subject, makes it easier for AI to find you, makes it easier for people to find you, of course. So those are the things that we're going to talk about over the next couple of weeks. So I'll pause here. We went over a little bit. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up today? Oh, let me share this. Sorry, let me share the chat with you guys. Actually, this I already shared. Let me share I'm going to share this particular deck because I'm going to use the advanced deck next week as part of our conversation. Anyone with the link, I think that works fine. Copy, share link, and I'll drop it into the chat for you guys. Feel free to go through it slower. I already gave you the workbook. And then, like I said, next week we're going to have more fun. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Danny, the interview prompt, you want me to use that before
Yeah,
or
no,
during my setup for the agent?
create the project first.
Okay.
And then after you create the project, the first prompt you should run is the interview prompt. And the reason
Okay.
why is that'll now train that project and everything about you. And then
Okay.
after you do that, then go to start the agentic AI. And again, the agent will be better because now it understands about you. Any other questions?
No, it's been very good. The links that you put into the chat, will those be accessible offline?
Well, no, you want to go ahead and grab the whole chat. And the easiest way to do that is at the top, there's 3 dots, and then just tell it to save the chat.
Got it.
I will also put up a recording of this, and that will always be on our YouTube channel. In my links that I shared, let me give you that. And so in the links that I shared was our YouTube channel, and you can find all of the old AI Lunch and Learns up there. We've got quite a few, so you can definitely check that out. And so it goes way back, lots in AI. And so I started with the concepts of AI super self, and you can join our Build platform. There's a ton of things in there. And so I still am updating everything to the Wednesday format, and I'll be updating the links in there. For now, just use the links that I shared today. All right. Anything else? Anybody else have any questions?
No, it's so great, Danny. Thanks.
Hey, no worries. We're going to get better and better every week, and I'll work through all the little tiny bugs, but I think we'll get there. All right, everyone. I'm going to end it now and see you guys next week, Wednesday, 12 noon.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.